Embark on your civil services journey with Vision IS. Introducing the Delhi GS Foundation Course 2026, turning UPSC dreams into reality. Access interactive learning tools, animations, videos, and an immersive interface. Utilize our tech-enabled student portal for performance tracking and personalized feedback. Stay ahead with daily assignments, weekly mini-tests, and monthly revisions. Strengthen your preparation with expert-researched, UPSC pattern study material. Delhi General Studies Foundation Course 2026. Batches start 29th November, 5 p.m., Karol Bagh. 19th November, 9 a.m., Karol Bagh. Take the first step towards success. With Vision IS, success is just a step away.
Good morning. Today, I'm going to discuss with you a very burning, one of the most important contemporary issue, that is nothing but one nation, one election. Number of issues will come during course of discussion. I will try my best to simplify all those aspects which are related to one nation, one election. First, I want to share with you that areas or dimensions which I will cover during the discussion. I want to draw those all issues, and then a thorough discussion will start. One nation, one election. This one nation, one election will cover, or I should say, I will divide into number of categories. And first, conceptual aspects. Second, I will take recommendations given by various committees and commissions. Then I will discuss with you pros and cons of one nation, one election. And then finally, we will go for the conclusion. So these are all areas will be there. And when I will go for conclusion, I will try to come out with the feasibility of simultaneous election or one nation, one election, what we are supposed to do, to what extent one nation, one election will be feasible. These aspects also I will take care of. So let us start. The first one I am going to discuss with you, conceptual aspects of election and one nation, one election. Election is the central institution of democratic representative government. It is a central institution because in a democracy, authority of the government derives solely from the consent of the governed. And the principal mechanism for translating the consent into a governmental authority is nothing but holding free and fair election. Democratic elections are periodic. Democratic elections are inclusive. Democratic elections are definitive. Election actually a cardinal mechanism through which people of the country get opportunity to elect their representatives for a certain time period, a certain fixed time period in a democratic environment. In democracy, either quantitative or qualitative, mainly in qualitative, election is considered a very important, indispensable ingredient to serve four basic purposes. Election encourages the best and brightest in public life. Four purposes are there. Four purposes. One, best and brightest in public life. The best and brightest people with required attitude and aptitude are supposed to be in public life. And it will be the beauty of democracy to attract those people who are not only bright and brightest, but who are honest, who are the custodian of integrity, who are custodian of uprightness, who are custodian of empathy, who are custodian of compassion, who are custodian of tolerance, who are dedicated, determined, and devoted in letter and spirit to serve the people of the country. They must be capable enough to give alternate policies. Election will give opportunity to elect those candidates having that ability to come out with alternate policies. And people who will come out with alternate policies and programs will definitely be visionary, will always be with mission, and vision. They will always be innovative. They will always be creative. They will always be dedicated to ensure economy, efficiency, effectiveness, and ethics in administrative system. It will be essential for them to make their democracy vibrant. And democracy will be vibrant when that democracy will be supported by the people who are always alert, people who are always participative in the process of decision making, governance, good governance, and in ethical governance. Democratic process will be more qualitative. When media populist democracy will not affect the governance, particularly good governance in the country. India's democratic framework thrives on the vibrancy of its electoral process, enabling citizens to actively shape the governance at all levels of the system. I'm talking about the national level, state level, and a local level. It will be essential for the people of the country to understand that in last 75 years, particularly the late years of 1960s or 1967 onward, fragmented and frequent nature of election has sparked discussion. Discussion on the need for a more efficient system. This has led to the resurgence of interest in the concept of one nation, one election. My dear, this idea is also known as simultaneous election. There is not at all any so-called scientific definition to simultaneous election. But as far as our country is concerned, we whenever use that phraseology, one nation, one election, or simultaneous election, we refers to the proposal of holding simultaneous election for the Lok Sabha and for state legislative assemblies. It may also include the Panchayati Raj institutions, rural local bodies, as well as urban local bodies. Today, when we are talking about simultaneous election, we are forced to discuss the issue of simultaneous election because of number of regions. Frequent elections come at the cost of the overall development of the country. Politics is good. But throughout the year, if politics and only politics will continue, adverse impact will be on administration. Because administration demands professional approach. Administration demands probity in governance. Administration demands scientific management to incorporate in the process of action. And that's why it is essential for the country to address the problems related to frequent election, fragmented election in our country. Without any doubt, everyone, I hope so, that everyone will come to the same conclusion today, that India is grappling with the issue of frequent and fragmented elections, which has triggered a debate for adoption of one nation, one election, or simultaneous election. India, the world's largest democracy, approximately 96.8 crore voters we have. They all are supposed to play their role in the process of election to make Indian democracy vibrant, to make Indian democracy qualitative, to make Indian democracy a national culture, national character. The very foundation of India's electoral system is rooted in the Constitution, which outlines the federal structure of the country, which paved the way for the parliamentary democratic system in the country. Our Constitution has given us opportunity to be the largest democracy in the world. Election or elections are different label, are sacrosanct to the idea of democracy in our country. It will be essential for the country, it will be essential for people of the country, it is essential for the leadership of this country to be careful about one of the basic structure of Indian Constitution, that is free and fair election. It will be the moral duty, it will be the ethical duty of leadership of this country to understand the very nature of Indian Constitution, Indian Constitution is nothing but a living document. To endure tides of time and adapt to the changing environment or changing requirements of generations and generations. Indian Constitution is undoubtedly an organic constitution, and that organic constitution has a potential to address changing needs of the society, changing needs of the country, not only social, economic, but political also. And today, it is essential for the country to respond electoral system in India. After 30-40 years of experience, particularly after going through the general election 2024, we came to the conclusion that essential for us to introduce some vital measures to make our election system more meaningful. How it will be possible to digest that 1 lakh crore we Indians are spending on election, and that is at the national level. In different states, expenditure will be different. In 2019, 60,000 crores we spent. A country having approximately 80 crore people who are in queue for 5 kgs of food grains, how will bear the cost of this kind of election? It will be essential for the country like India to respond that election process. And that's why number of committees, number of commissions came out with those recommendations, and all recommendations are in favor of a concrete electoral reform. Particularly, all recommendations are in favor of simultaneous election or one nation, one election. I want to discuss with you the number of recommendations of various committees in favor of simultaneous election or one nation, one election. Recommendations. My dear, even before independence, 1932, In 1932, we had a franchisee committee. I will repeat. In 1932, we had franchisee committee, and that franchisee committee report categorically advised simultaneous election in a country like India. Of course, that time, the meaning, process, and nature of election all different. But that franchisee committee report 1932 was in favor of one nation, one election, and without any hesitation, without any doubt, one can consider that franchisee committee report 1932 provides a historical background for the concept of simultaneous election. So this one, historical background for one nation, one election in our country. Then you will find one another major development after independence, that was in 1983. In 1983, our election commission in 1983, election commission had published the first annual report and supported the notion of conducting concurrent elections for both houses of people and the state legislative assemblies. Election Commission came out with 7 compelling suggestions or compelling reasons. 7 compelling reasons. It means when Election Commission in 1983 suggested one nation, one election, not only give suggestion, but 7 regions or 7 grounds to support simultaneous election. One was saving on colossal, avoidable administrative and other expenditures. Administrative and other expenditures. Election Commission categorically stated that simultaneous election will save avoidable administrative and other expenditures. It will contribute in economy, revision of electoral roll, every time for House of People and legislative assemblies cost more. So it will be better for us to go for one electoral roll for election Lok Sabha as well as election legislative assembly. Then third one you will find human resource. Civilian personnel, approximately 25 to 30 lakh public personnel are involved. I will repeat, 25 to 30 lakh personnel. We used to engage to conduct free and fair election. And not for one day, not for 1 month even. Nowadays you will find for months, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Election Commission attracted attention towards administrative inefficiency. Administrative inefficiency. During election, because of number of regions, you will find slowdown in governmental activities. Because the main concern will be to conduct election. Focus will be on to conduct election. It will create a lot of hardship and suffering to a common man. Common man actually demand development. Common man actually demands proper and timely implementation of the welfare schemes and programs. If general election, assembly elections will not allow our administrative system to perform, a negative impact one will find on common people. And that's why Election Commission said we should go for simultaneous election. Then you will find one another problem: administrative transfer and promotion. Administrative transfer and promotion, that is a routine work, also will be affected because of general election. Then you will find double expenditure. You will find union, or I should say parliamentary election plus assembly election. Expenditure will always be more, or in fact there will be a duplication of work. There will be duplication of work, and that duplication of work will never be considered good for the country. And last but not least, the whole public life going to be affected. 7 points Election Commission identified. And not only Election Commission. After that you will find two thousand 2002, we had another report, National Commission to Review the Working of the Constitution, NCRWC, National Commission to Review the Working of Constitution, under Venkat Chalaya, extended support and recognized the need to restore simultaneous election. After that, we will find in 2015, Parliamentary Standing Committee. Parliamentary Standing Committee also came out with the idea of simultaneous election in our country. The Standing Committee on Personal Public Grievances, Law and Justice, under chairmanship of Sudarsana Nachipan, submitted report on feasibility of holding simultaneous election. That report was the feasibility of simultaneous election, Lok Sabha and State Legislative Assembly. This report was published in 2015. And that committee categorically identified 4 grounds. I will repeat, that Parliamentary Standing Committee on Personal Public Grievances, Law and Justice under Sudarsana Nachipan identified 4 regions behind advocacy in favor of one nation, one election. Point number 1, massive expenditure. Point number 2, policy paralysis. Point number 3, impact on delivery of essential services. And point number 4, burden on crucial manpower. So heavy expenditure, policy paralysis, impact on public distribution system, and crucial manpower, all 4 areas were considered a very crucial behind the support in favor of simultaneous election. After that, you will find one commission, when these all bodies were talking about simultaneous election, Law Commission in 1999 and 2015. I will repeat, Law Commission, first one was franchisee, report 1932. Second one, I am going to rewrite only. Second one, Election Commission, 1983. Number 3, National Commission to Review the Working of Constitution, 2002. Number 4, Parliamentary Standing Committee, 2015. Number 5, I am talking about Law Commission. Law Commission in 1999, 2015, and 2018 extended support in favor of simultaneous election. And Commission categorically stated that we want to save fund, we want to reduce stress and strain over administrative setup in India. We want to ensure timely implementation of governmental policies. And finally, we want to make sure that administrative machinery is working on development project rather than campaigning. I will repeat 4 points. 1, to save public fund. 2, to reduce stress and strain over administrative setup. Number 3, make sure that administrative machinery working for developmental activities. And number 4, timely implementation of governmental policies. So Law Commission also extended support in favor of simultaneous election. My dear, when in 2018, present Prime Minister of India came out with his attention, emphasis on one nation, one election, Law Commission again tried to explain the reason behind one nation, one election. But these all were proved a regular feature of the routine institutional setup and recommendations. Nothing was going on concretely. Even in 2017, Niti Aayog Niti Aayog also had given recommendation in favor of one nation, one election. But the most important one that played a decisive role, that one is High Power Committee under former President Nath Kovind, a report 2024. High Power Committee under former President Nath Kovind. This report 2024 laid a foundation for concrete steps in favor of one nation, one election. As I told you earlier, that during course of time, I would not be wrong to say that since 1983, when Election Commission had submitted first report, We are talking about election commission. We are talking about other institutions. But simultaneous election you will find common in all recommendations, with objective to align the electoral cycle across the different level of government. I will repeat. We all are talking about simultaneous election with one simple objective, to align the electoral cycle across different levels of government, conducting election concurrently or within a set time frame. 6-member high-level committee chaired by Nath Kovind came out with number of recommendations after thorough examination on the issue of election simultaneous. Nath Kovind had number of issues, number of areas to address, and at the same time he had number of dimensions to respond. Nath Kovind committee, when came out with recommendations, committee recommended one nation, one election with a number of advices, and I want to share with you those advices separately. After these all historical developments, recommendations of high-level committee under chairmanship of Nath Kovind. The first one you will find that committee had recommended simultaneous election after going through the terms of references. And the first point we will find that committee recommended two-phase simultaneous election. Two phases simultaneous election, one for Lok Sabha and State Legislative Assembly, and second for local government. That was the first suggestion, that Lok Sabha election and the State Assembly election should be conducted simultaneously, and local government election should be conducted within 100 days of this election. 100 days of the Lok Sabha election and Assembly election. Then you will find that committee came out with one another suggestion. That suggestion was related to appointment date. That is called appointment date. What actually is appointment date? Appointment date is actually a day of the first meeting of newly elected Lok Sabha. The first meeting of newly elected Lok Sabha. And that day will be declared as an appointment date, and that will be the beginning of electoral cycle, sorry. That will be the beginning of electoral cycle. And state legislative assemblies also will be regulated as per that announcement by President of India regarding appointment date. Then Election Commission talked about Article 83 of the Constitution. Election Commission talked about Article 172 of the Constitution. And Commission categorically stated that these two articles we will have to amend. These two articles we will have to amend. Commission extended support to insert some new articles like Article 82A, Article 324A, Election Commission advised amendment in Article 325, 356, etc. Commission categorically stated that we are supposed to come out with single electoral roll, and single electoral roll will demand amendment in Article 325. We want election at local level, that will demand one another Article 324A, because committee came out with a proposal to facilitate simultaneous election in panchayat and municipalities with general election, Lok Sabha and State Assembly, of course, 100 days time period given by Election Commission. But 324A is supposed to be introduced to give Election Commission sufficient power to conduct election of at local level simultaneously within 100 days of Lok Sabha and State Assembly election. Apart from that, that committee categorically mentioned that number of provisions will require Article 368(2) to adopt, because the states are expected to give their consent, like Article 324A, Article 325. These all will demand state support, and as far as Indian Constitution is concerned, along with Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha's special majority support, at least half of the total states with simple majority, when will extend support to Parliament, then only constitutional amendment will take place related to the federal aspect of the constitution. Committee came out with a suggestion that unified electoral roll will reduce the cost of expenditure in our country as far as the election cost concerned. So we are in favor of that simultaneous election. I will repeat that Nath Kovind committee on one hand advised these articles to be amended, on the other hand these articles should be incorporated, should be introduced. So amendment also is expected.
Reading a newspaper daily on an average takes 1.5 to 2 hours. Take that and multiply it into 365 days. Yes, that's how long you spend staying up to date with current affairs. What if we told you we could cover 1 year of current affairs in 60 hours? Vision IAS introduces the PT 365 program, a unique 20-day course that will help aspirants cover important topics in detail. Starting from 9th January at 5 p.m., choose the program for comprehensive features like key topics compiled from sources such as The Hindu, Indian Express, PIB, Economic Times and more. Coverage specific to the prelims format. Doubt-clearing sessions and mentoring for a focused approach. Option of live online recorded classes for distance learning students and flexibility in class timing. What are you waiting for? Enroll today and master current affairs for prelims success. Are you ready to excel in the UPSC Personality Test 2024, the final step to achieving your civil services dream? Join Vision IAS Personality Development Program, crafted to prepare you holistically for this crucial stage. Our program includes depth analysis sessions with senior experts to identify potential interview questions, mock interviews with ex-bureaucrats and educationists to build confidence, current affairs sessions for a comprehensive understanding of trending issues, elocution classes to refine your communication and behavioral skills. Interactive sessions with toppers and serving officers provide insights and motivation to align your preparation with success. Prepare to stand out with personalized mentorship and performance feedback. Admissions are open for UPSC Mains 2024 qualified students. Turning your commitment into competencies, a mentor stands in each phase of your preparation. Challenge your inner UPSC aspirations and turn your roadblocks into prelims and mains success with expert mentoring and guidance. Elevate your preparation with the Laksha Mentoring Program 2025 and commence your journey with strategic revision, rigorous practice, and personalized mentoring. The Laksha Prelims and Mains Integrated Mentoring Program 2025, starting from 23rd December, is a 230+ days comprehensive program offering unified mentoring for both prelims and mains with key features such as comprehensive and phased mentoring program for prelims and mains, integrated plan for smooth coverage of syllabus, development of answer writing, problem solving and analytical skills, access to daily workbooks, weekly monthly Laksha practice tests, and Sandhan personalized test series. The Laksha Prelims Mentoring Program 2025, starting from 27th December, is a 4.5 months intensive mentorship program offering key features such as targeted mentorship for Prelims 2025, structured and smart preparation plan, core concept mastery, problem solving and time management, access to Sandhan, live quiz and Laksha prelims tests. Step on board and march towards success in the UPSC CSE with one-on-one mentoring, structured planning and unique learning techniques.
So major recommendations are what? As far as the Nath Kovind committee concerned, number one, two-phase election, one Lok Sabha and Assembly, second one, within 100 days, local government election, amendment in article number 83, amendment in article number 172, new insertion, article number 82A should be added, and then article number 324A, 325 should be amended, 327 also should be amended, should expand the power to conduct a simultaneous election. So number of amendments were suggested by Nath Kovind committee. Now after going through these all suggestions, it will be essential for us to go for all those recommendations and to analyze how these all recommendations shall be implemented or recommendations should be implemented or not. Because we are a federal country, and being a federal country, it will be difficult for the union government to come out with unilateral decision. The idea of simultaneous election, as I told you, nothing wrong. A huge amount we are expending, 1 lakh crore in 2024. And on any ground, this kind of things cannot be acceptable. So question before us, that simultaneous election will be feasible or not. So I am going to discuss with you that after going through these all advices and suggestions, one nation, one election, feasible or not. Number of advantages are there. One nation, one election. And we used to say that these all advantages are very much visible. Number one, cost reduction. Number two, administrative efficiency. Number three, policy implementations. Number four, public life. Number five, election management. Number 6, political culture in context of anti-defection will be improved. Number of advantages are there. Apart from that, we can write one another: increase in voters' participation. Increase in voters' participation. So, almost in every area, we will find one election simultaneously are good for the country. We know that model code of conduct has a huge impact on our development. You should know 2024 general election model codes of conduct was in force for 82 days, means almost 2.5 months. And if model code of conduct will be in force for 2.5 months, it will be sufficient to pause governmental activities, governmental decision making, and project implementation. During 2019 to 2024, approximately 113 days each year. I will repeat, 2019 to 2024, 113 days each year under model code of conduct we faced. We lost opportunity to accelerate the pace of development, and country having large number of poor people cannot afford that kind of thing. Cost efficiency, already I shared with you. We are desperately in need to check 1 lakh crore expenditure during election. It will be essential for us to give emphasis on governance and administrative efficiency. It will be essential for us to ensure a quality life for common people. Voters should not feel fatigue during democratic system. Essential for common people to be enthusiastic. Elections should be in festive mood, because common people with enthusiasm, with high level of morale, are supposed to take part in the process of election, to decide the nature of the government, character of the government, and dedication of the government towards governance, good governance, and ethical governance. That's why simultaneous election is required. Simultaneous election, of course, will contribute in our finance. Our GDP growth rate will be more. But at the same time, the important thing is how public life Our education going to be affected because of regular election, fragmented election. We are duty bound to shape our future. Our future generation should get and entitled to get the shining India. But shining India will not be possible only after going through the regular electoral process every time. Their academic year should not be affected. And when I am talking about academic year, it does not mean only schools and colleges. Lakhs and lakhs of people are preparing for their job. They also should be given equal opportunity to take part in the process of election. At the same time, they are duty bound and they must be given sufficient opportunity to shape their own career also. That's why essential for us to come out with simultaneous election. But when we are talking about the advantages of simultaneous election, challenges also are there. Cons, disadvantages, challenges against one nation, one election. Challenges are there. And first challenge, it is considered that it will be threat to federal structure. It will be threat to federal structure. Simultaneous election is good in every sense. In fact, 1952 to 1967, we had simultaneous election. Simultaneous election is not new to this country. We had simultaneous election. But in today's circumstances, it will not be wrong to say that simultaneous election may compromise. I should prefer word compromise, may compromise. Simultaneous election may compromise the federal nature of governance. National parties may overshadow regional voices. Local issues, domestic state issues may be dominated by national issues. It will not be wrong to say that there is a big doubt that political diversity will be diminished when voters are not sufficiently mature or aware. They will be confused. It will be difficult for them to choose rationally their candidates for Lok Sabha and for legislative assemblies respectively. Second important thing, that is logistic support. Nath Kovind committee had given one recommendation that election commission should go for the expected expenditure in case of simultaneous election. Election Commission is expected to estimate the cost of simultaneous election. It is not a matter of the manpower only. You will find not only manpower, but the physical resources or material resources also are very important to decide. EVM, VVPAT, in 2015, our Parliamentary Standing Committee had estimated approximately 9,200 crores. 9,200 crores will be needed to purchase machines. 9,200, approximately 9,200 crores to purchase machines, and that estimation was in 2015. What will be the cost today? Difficult for people to know. Election Commission is expected to come out with estimated figure. Then you will find the requirement of manpower. You will find that generally election we are conducting in 2-3 months. In one state we are conducting election in 3-4 days or 3-4 phases. If election commission is unable to conduct election in one state in one go, how it will be possible for election commission to conduct simultaneous election across the country, assembly as well as Lok Sabha? I will repeat, it will not be a matter of the local issues only. It will not be a matter of federal structure only. It will not be a matter of logistic support only. But the problem is that how it will be possible to make administration sufficiently efficient, how it will be possible to make operational feasibility during simultaneous election, how it will be possible to make common people aware about the simultaneous election. Public awareness and as far as the model code of conduct, because people always are talking about the negative impact of model codes of conduct. Of course, model codes of conduct going to affect. I also shared with you that per year almost 113 days we are suffering because of model codes of conduct. That's why simultaneous election is required. But simultaneous election, do you think will change the political culture? Political culture in the country. Constitutional amendments only will not be a solution. First of all, it will be difficult to go for the constitutional amendment thoroughly. Article 82, Article 83, Article 172, Article 356, Article 324, 325. Apart from that, we will have to go for the amendment in Representation of People Act. We will have to go for amendment in Article 75(3). Number of challenges are there. Without knowing, without making a plan or a strategy to address these all constitutional provisions, how to amend, in what way to amend, introduction of bill will not be sufficient. That may be a political mileage for some, but as far as the ground realities are concerned, the feasibility of simultaneous election, despite all advantages, will be in question. I will repeat, we must support simultaneous election. We had simultaneous election 1952 to 1967. But in today's scenario, when political culture is deteriorating, when Article number 200 and 201 are frequently misused, Supreme Court giving judgments to save the federal structure of the Constitution of the country, how we will go for national dialogue? It will be a challenge before us. Simultaneous election, one nation, one election can be a boon for the country. It can serve a number of purposes. Earlier I discussed with you. There is no question about it. But question is that to what extent these are feasible, how we should implement. Is it possible for us to introduce provisions like Article 67 German Constitution? I will repeat it. Is it possible for us to introduce a provision like Article 67 of German Constitution that deals with the constructive confidence motion? Article number 75(3) should be amended to accommodate constructive confidence motion, where one party in power is going to be defeated, another alternative government should be constituted, otherwise the party in power should continue. Means there should not be any kind of political instability and uncertainty. Is it possible for us to come out with Westminster model UK law provides for dissolution if two-thirds members agree, or if a no confidence motion is confirmed by House within 14 days. Is it possible for us to incorporate these all provisions? And if not, then question will arise that before going to introduce a bill or before going to implement one nation, one election, we should think over it carefully. After going through these all challenges, what to be done? As I told you, one nation, one election will be boon for the country. Advocacy for simultaneous election will be a reflection of democratic principles that guide the evolution of our nation's governance. And directly or indirectly, that concept was accommodated in S.R. Bombay versus Union of India case 1994. Everything good, but we want a country Viksit Bharat. And governance in Viksit Bharat should be based on democratic principles. And democratic principles will always be defended and protected when we will go for national dialogue. When we will go for national dialogue. When we will go for constitutional amendment only after analyzing political culture prevailing in India. It means Article 75(3), 83, 172, 356, 324, 325, etc. If are going to be amended, amendments should be based on our strategy, to what extent we can accommodate Article 67 of German Constitution or the provisions adopted by United Kingdom. At the same time, it will be essential for us to go for one another very important thing, and that is gradual implementation. Gradual implementation of simultaneous election. It will be essential for us to address one another thing, that federal structure should not be disturbed. Federal structure should not be disturbed. Supreme Court of the country has considered federal structure the basic structure of the Constitution. We should not disturb that federal structure. And one important thing here I want to point out, that if election at local level will be conducted after 100 days of Lok Sabha and Assembly election. People will be tired. Next 100 days they will be in election mood. That will be torturous. And that should be addressed properly. After that, you will find that another issue here we have. Fifth one, implementation process and new provisions should be realistic. How new provisions will be realistic? Nath Kovind committee, when talked about 2 phases election, talked about insertion of Article 82A, talked about insertion of Article 324A, talked about amendment in Article 83 or 172 or 325 etc. People of the country, government of the day, leaders of the country are supposed to understand that how simultaneous election will be meaningful if premature dissolution will lead country towards midterm poll. High level committee under Nath Kovind is giving suggestion that in case of midterm poll, that poll will be for the rest of time period only. And after that, new election will be conducted. So where purpose going to be fulfilled? Ultimately, we are going to conduct election for the rest time period. If one government will collapse after 2 or 3 years of the term, for 2 years more, midterm election will be conducted. And then after 2 years, so-called simultaneous election will come. So in real sense, we are not going for simultaneous election. We are allowing midterm poll. That must be taken care of. We have more than 2.6 lakh panchayats. How election commission will conduct election at a time in one go, and after that if midterm election will be forced, then how election commission will be equipped? That also will be very important. Election commission's ability and capacity building program. I will repeat that if midterm poll will be conducted, there will be question on the objective behind the simultaneous election. And second, in a country having more than 2.6 lakh panchayats, urban local bodies, in case of midterm election at local level or state level or even national level, how election commission will be in a position to conduct election? Always in 2 years or 3 years. Because ultimately, the political instability will not be addressed properly. Political instability will continue. It will be difficult for the people of this country to reject the possibility of the political instability and reducing political accountability. Political instability because of anti-defection, because of changing political culture in the country, because of horse trading, and political accountability. If governments will get 5 fixed-year term, in fact, that will go against the wishes of the Constituent Assembly. Constituent Assembly was in favor of the political accountability rather than political stability. So what I am trying to share with you, that along with Election Commission's ability and capacity building program, it will be essential for us to address our political culture in the country. I was talking about here political culture of the country. So number of suggestions are there to make simultaneous election feasible in our country. Democracy, particularly quality democracy, can function only upon the faith of people. And it will be essential for the country to respond that faith of the people. Our Constitution is a living document. Our Constitution is capable to accommodate, to adopt the changing requirements and needs of society. Our Constitution is dynamic enough. Our Constitution is flexible enough. Our Constitution is accommodative enough to make itself relevant forever and always to serve the people of the country socially, economically, as well as politically. So issue of simultaneous election will not be proved a very difficult issue for the country to address. This proposal, one nation, one election, presents a transformative vision for the India's electoral landscape, with a promise to enhance governmental efficiency and boost for the economy. We must be with the positive mindset to deal with the issue. Outrightly rejection will be wrong. At the same time, without a strategy, without national dialogue, without consensus, without thorough discussion, without going for legislative impact assessment, without going for the analysis of all those amendments we are proposing, simultaneous election or one nation, one election will be proved wrong for the country. So, After going through this all, whatsoever I covered with you people, we can come to the conclusion that simultaneous election was never bad and will never be bad. It will be a good for the country, it will be a boon for the democracy, it will be good for Viksit Bharat in every sense. But we must be careful about our approaches. Consensus approach, essential for us. This transformative vision will be proved a milestone for the country. We should not allow that opportunity to go. We are getting time to correct ourselves. We are getting time to check our political culture deteriorating every time in past decades. And then, with public awareness, our democracy will be vibrant with simultaneous election. We hope that simultaneous election will not be simply a political gimmick, will not be confined to constitutional amendment, but simultaneous election will be introduced again in the country after 1967 to make our democracy qualitative, to make our democracy cultured, to make our democracy vibrant, to make our democracy ethical and moral, to make our democracy good for the prosperous India, good for Viksit Bharat, and good for the people of this country. In that way, we should support simultaneous election, but with caution. It will be up to the leadership of the country to take positive steps with positive mindset only after considering the future of this country. Thank you. Thank you very much.